or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 speeches from either the traditional or Pathways programs. Or you must have substantial relevant presentation experience that you demonstrate to us in a 3 to 5 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to board approval. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and your role if you have one. Right-click and select Rename to do so. Guests, please put a capital G in front of your name so that we can easily identify you. We have members and oftentimes guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we are recording the meeting. Your video and audio contributions may be used for our club marketing purposes. Also, please remember to mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Today's theme is interesting, humans working with humans. Please welcome back our club president, distinguished Toastmaster Nick Lacani.
Thank you very much, Lou. Welcome everybody, or members and guests, to our club. It is 7:45 Eastern Time, and basically we are good to go. We're having a great meeting tonight. I want to introduce our wonderful Toastmaster of the Day, who is also our Vice President of Education. I want to give a big welcome to the one and only from Mauritius, who wakes up in the middle of the night to come and actually visits us at that time. Please welcome Christian Ramshan.
Thank you, Mr. President. My dear online presenters, my esteemed guest, this is one reason why you shouldn't join the club from the other side of the world when you're in the Indian Ocean because of time zone differences. And then you have to wake up and then you come late to the meeting, especially when you're going to host the meeting and you set a bad example. Having said that, the theme of the day is humans dealing with humans. And I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm counting that I'm dealing with a set of amazing human beings. I'm sure I am, because guess what? One of you has been already setting up the field. Thank you to Toastmaster David Carr for doing that. Thank you so much for updating the roster of role players. Without further ado, again, a reminder, the theme of the day is humans dealing with humans. Why? Because of what's happening in 2020. So many things, so many upsets, so many changes. We are now having a Zoom life for some of us. We are hating it. Some of us are loving it. We're having a COVID life. Some of us, well, all of us are hating it. We're having a change in so many things, but online presenters is here to stay. Online presenters is growing, and online presenters is hopefully changing people's lives in one way or the other. How? Let's find out, because in this session today, we're going to have 3 segments. We're going to have prepared speeches. We have 3 speakers lined up for you. We have table topics segment. Watch out and be ready to answer those famous questions. And then we have the evaluation segment. So without further ado, let's start with the introduction of our role players, because guess what? All those 3 segments are going to be supported by people who are going to be busy in the background. I'd like to first of all bring in front of the camera our timer for this session, Toastmaster Donna. If Toastmaster Donna, if you are there, please unmute yourself and share with us how you're going to be timing the session, madam.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the evening, online presenters and guests. As we help one another, humans helping humans, we must remember that we love to have all those conversations. To keep it to a minimum, especially in some areas, I am going to assist us to pause for a while and we can continue after the meeting. As our speakers present this evening, I am going to use this timing device. I'm going to encourage you to go to my video, right click on the 3 dots and pin my video if necessary. you will see these 3 colors as you present. When you have 5 minutes, when you are at 5 minutes of your presentation, I will tell you keep going. I'm going to encourage you to slow down. And when it is time for you to end at 7 minutes, you will see the red. A similar timing will take place if you are being asked to speak during table topics. At your 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the speech. At 1.5 minutes or thereabout, I'm going to encourage you to start wrapping up, and please pay attention so that we can continue to enjoy your speeches. I will be timing everyone who speaks, and therefore I'm encouraging you, ladies and gentlemen, please pay attention to your timer and stop when you can so that we will continue to enjoy the meeting with you. Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Wow, Madam Timer, at least I saw only 3 different colors at this time of the day. Thank you so much for sharing. And my dear speakers, if you have any difficulty, like Toastmaster Donna recommended, do pin her screen when you're delivering your address. The next role player is going to be our counter. I'd like to introduce Madam Deborah Cole for this role. Over to you, Deborah.
Well, as the counter, I will be watching for all filler words. Naturally, the the well, so, a lot of people so, and the such, but, whatever, and I will be keeping track of that. What I will do, however, is not tell everybody how many, you know, if you have 2 or 3. If someone really racks up quite a few ahs, then we'll let you know. But other than that, you can just contact me in the private chat, and then we'll, as I said, and then I'll be happy to tell you how many you have. Thanks.
So thank you, Madam Accountant. Thank you so much. So please pay attention to those filler words, my dear online presenters and guests as well. If you're participating, watch out for them. Our next role player is someone who's going to be looking at how the chat is busy or being used. I'd like you to put your hands together and give a warm welcome to Dr. Michael Alexander, our chat monitor. Over to you, sir.
The very interesting thing about Zoom is it permits us to keep talking instead of listening properly to speeches. To the degree that we're doing that, it will be my role to see if we're at least being productive in our side chats or responsive. And I will let you know at the end what I thought was particularly interesting that occurred in the chat.
Thank you, Mr. Chat Monitor. I'm looking forward to your report at the end of the session. I do encourage our attendees, if you can give feedback to our speakers after their speech, please do so. The next role player is someone who's going to be looking at our presence online. It's going to be our watcher, Toastmaster Tricia Henderson. Please introduce your role, madam.
Hi, I am serving as the watcher this evening. What I'm going to be looking for is how everyone looks on the screen. I'm also going to be looking at who stays online the entire meeting. So I will be able to see if you shut your video off. I will also be looking for if you are centered on the screen and if you're a necklace person. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be important for you to make sure I can see your neck at all times. I'm also going to be checking out backgrounds to see if there are tips that we could offer to improve your background, if you have a virtual one or if you have a standard or a regular background that's your room. I am also going to be looking for folks who walk away from their screen. So if you're walking away from your screen and you're not muting your video, I'll be looking for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Walking away from the screen. Well, I hope I won't be doing that. Our next role player is going to be our vote counter. On this, we did have a change. I'd like to call upon Birgit to confirm, Toastmaster Birgit, if you're able to take up the role of vote counter.
Yes, I'm available to take up the role. And I apologize, this is the first time that I've actually been on an iPad. So I'm having a couple of logistical issues. I just broke a vase. Anyway, I will be doing the vote counting. Exactly. So I'm like standing in anyway, glass. I will be counting the votes. So yeah. So I apologize if my, to the watcher right now, it's going to be a little bit inconsistent because I'm trying to figure out how to best place my iPad because I haven't joined the meeting on an iPad before. So hey, it's a learning experience, and it is what it is.
Thank you, Toastmaster Birgit. First thing first, please keep safe. If you need to turn off your screen and scrub the gloss that you don't cut yourself, please do so. I think our watcher will be lenient on that. And thank you for that. And if you have any difficulty with the votes, let me know, give me a shout.
I can do that. That's why I switched to the iPad. I got a note that Pacific Gas and Electric was probably going to turn off the power. So my laptop wouldn't work anymore. So that's why I decided to actually move to the iPad so that I wouldn't be losing the meeting at all. So I can definitely count the votes, and I'll be counting the votes for best speaker, best evaluator, as well as best table topics participant, as long as they are all within time.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much for doing that. And right. Role players are now ready. Audience members are now ready. I am ready to listen to our speeches. And I'd like to introduce the first speaker. Madam Tricia, are you ready? Can you unmute yourself, please? Can you just test your audio? Yes.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
My computer was not unmuting. I'm okay now, I think.
Thank you. And can you see our timer on your screen?
Where are you, timer? I don't think so. I'm not sure how to pin them.
I just sent you the note how to pin. I'm now with a red and a green background.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Okay.
Whee! Awesome.
You read the note how to pin?
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now.
All right. So our first speaker, Tricia Smith, is going to be delivering her speech from the POF Presentation Mastery, Level 2, Learning Your Style, Understanding Your Communication Style. In the many roles she has as an online full-time lead facility member and instructor, Tricia uses multiple methods of communication with faculty. Different methods of communication styles can be used to get desired results. And she's going to discuss her communication styles in this speech. She uses as a faculty coach how and why these styles are used. Without further ado, please put your hands for Tricia Smith, Understanding Your Communication Style, Learning Your Style. Tricia Smith, over to you, madam.
Thank you. Good evening, Toastmasters, guests, and friends. I am going to talk about 3 main communication styles that I use in one of my roles. Let me describe my roles. One of the roles that I hold is a full-time remote online instructor for a medical career education school is as an educational faculty coach. We have all kinds of coaches available. The kind of coaching I do is to help instructors to succeed at meeting expectations. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that before I talk about the types of communication that I use to do that with. My role as an educational faculty coach includes working underneath a program director and other leadership administrators. I'm a lead faculty member, so I do different roles. I review courses for a set of instructors that I'm assigned to on a weekly basis, but the instructor assignments change per week. So I get into the courses. These are all online courses, online instructors, and I make sure they're following the expectations. If they're not, they're put on reports. Another way I get data on instructors that are not meeting expectation is with emails from my program director or other leadership members who give me data based on instructors that I overview, a group of instructors within 2 programs that I teach in, even though the reviews are done across the curriculum. So I only coach the instructors that I work with in the programs that I teach courses in as a full-time remote instructor. So while doing that, the first step is getting the data. So one of the types of communication types methods that I use is analytical communication skills. How do I do that? I get the data either from the reviews I conduct or from the emails that I receive with the report information that identifies the specific instructors that I need to touch base with or reach out to. I use the analytical data and I decide how I'm going to present the information to the instructor. How I do that is by using initiative communication skills, because I want to be friendly and nice and supportive and professional and respectful and resourceful. So I do that by conducting correspondence, usually by text or by email, both of those. I wait for a reply from the instructor and I give them a course of action to take. Sometimes the email correspondence is enough to get the action that's needed. Or I do a follow-up phone call and we have a one-on-one, because written communication isn't always the best, right? That's one-on-one. Whereas verbal, it's still one-on-one, but you can get a lot more understanding when you have two types of communication used multiple ways. And a lot of times I do conduct training sessions or teaching sessions through not Zoom, but through Microsoft Teams, small group, individuals, etc. So in that process, I am using supportive communication as well, because I provide resources. So my email has a good tone to it. It presents information based on data that I've analyzed using analytical communication skills. And then I verbalize those things also, so the instructor hears and sees the information in different ways. They're allowed to ask questions and I provide answers, I provide resources, how to use the resources, and when I actually hold the sessions, we're doing a lot of how-to walkthrough course sessions, things like that. So I'm demonstrating a lot of skills. I'm listening to their explanation of why they did not meet the expectation. Now, what I have to be mindful of is, as an instructor, we don't like to be called out because our job is to teach and to grade a lot of coursework. So we're doing the grading. We don't want to be graded. We don't like to be called out. We don't want to have to correct anything we do. So sometimes you get that response where an instructor is being a little defensive, taking it personally, and we don't want that. So I have very, very good rapport, and I am pretty good at being a coach. So I avoid that, and I set the tone that way. But sometimes I have to use a direct communication method as well. So that's where I'm going to be to the point, give them the data, give them the plan of action. This is what's needed. This is the due date, right? No argument, no drama, no what's our word of the day? Yeah, I think it was Icham, something like that. So yeah, we want to avoid the drama, the excuses, right? Everybody needs to take accountability. So that's my job, is to make sure they have the resources they need. They know the how-to. It's an educational institution, so we are very dynamic. The curriculum's being updated on a regular basis, continuous basis. We have compliance standards that we go by. It is in the medical field, so everybody has that criteria to go by, credentials, things like that. So it's very effective. What I have learned through this process is my method of communication isn't something that I needed to change by learning the methods of communication, but I've gotten a name for the methods I use, and it makes me more conscious that I can actually change what I do to get the same results, which is what I do, just not consciously. Now I'm conscious of it, learning this process, and that I am effective as a coach. So I'm very thankful for that. Thank you for listening to my speech. I hope you learned something about me and how I communicate, and I use this communication in different types in my daily work. So that was the easiest way for me to apply the different communication styles that are available, and I was really thankful for learning these concepts. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day and President Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tricia. Thank you for sharing our communication styles. Well, we're still trying to discover them. As long as we can make use of what we are aware of, that's what matters. Before I move on to the next speaker, guess what? I made a big boo-boo. I forgot to introduce our grammarian, and I'm so lucky that she's proactive. She didn't forget to share the word of the day. So without wasting any time, I'd like you to put your hands together and welcome our grammarian of the day, Toastmaster Nikenge. Over to you, madam.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My role tonight is to introduce the word of the day, which is emote. which you will find posted in the chat and see throughout the evening, just to kind of give us a reminder, particularly for the table topics. Also, I'm going to be monitoring the language, the proper uses of language, and unfortunately, I may have to catch a few of the misuses. So please, let's concentrate on giving good use of language this evening. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian. And I think she's noted down my boo-boo as a grammarian word to improve on. All right, our next speaker, Toastmaster Antoinette. You are unmuted, I see. Can you see our timer?
Yes, and I pinned her. Yeah, I pinned her already. So
Thank you, Madam. So Antoinette Trim is going to be delivering her speech from the path Engaging Humor. She's doing a level 3 speech project, Increasing Knowledge, Deliver Social Speeches. And that's her first speech. Now, Antoinette has shared the following introduction. Her mom, a woman of substance, a woman of strength, a teacher, a provider, a disciplinarian. There are so many adjectives she can use to describe her mom. Elsie. It will take her longer than a 5 to 7 minute speech. Having said that, she has only 5 to 7 minutes. So without further ado, please put your hands for the matriarch in my life. Antoinette Trim, the matriarch in my life.
good evening to everyone. Thank you for accepting my invitation to celebrate with me my mom's birthday. She is 89 years of age. Young people would say, my mother belongs to an old school, but I would say she stood as a pillar of strength in my life and was very influential to whom I am today. When I was a child, I was tempted to deceive my parents because I was very much afraid of its consequences. When I did naughty things, for example, when she discovered that I lied, she would flog me, and she would keep on flogging me and using the phrase repeatedly, a liar is a thief. Today, it is extremely difficult for me to tell untruths in my adult life. And that speaks to me, to my integrity. My parents pastored many churches in Grenada. And as a child, I have no choice than to attend church with them. But during worship sessions at church, I would see my friends walking up and down the aisle, in and out of the church, unsupervised. Not me. I would be like a straitjacket next to my mom. And any attempt to even get off from my seat, I would be greeted with a pinch. And today, it is very worrisome for me, while sitting in church, to see children up and down the aisle. As a matter of fact, once I'm being seated in an audience, I rarely move. My mother is a very strong-willed individual. One day, while driving, my mother was telling me, I'm smelling dog mess. In some circles, they'll say dog poop. And she'll say, Antoinette, I'm smelling dog mess. And I will say, no, Mom, it's not me, not my shoe, not underneath my shoes. And we had a little argument from time to time. Eventually, my mom forgot she was driving and she turned around to say, look under your shoe. Well, that was the end of the banter. The vehicle ended up on an embankment, but luckily for us, none of us were injured and people were around to help us out of the vehicle. That was one incident that is still etched in my memory, and it taught me that one should exercise self-control, even though one may think that you're right. As a pharmacist, Mom was given the opportunity to visit various countries because in the pharmacist circle, there were conferences held. For example, she was able to visit North America, Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico. Even being a pastor's wife, she was also afforded opportunities as well to visit other countries like Antigua, Canada, and so forth. She also served in a number of positions. For instance, being the president of the women's group, Sunday school superintendent. My mom is like an ever-ready battery, never wanting to stop. She was even president of the senior citizens group and gave up that post at age 80. Like my mom, it looks as though that I'm following the same pattern as I'm still involved in church work. Just imagine at age 75, she was still driving. In my neck of the woods, at 75 and still driving, that rarely happens. But what made her stop was a particular situation whereby she would journey from Arima to Digger Martin, which is about 1 hour's drive, driving at 80 km per hour. It's a route that she was accustomed taking, so it's nothing strange to her. But one day she ended up at the junction, not too far from her sister's school, and could not remember whether to turn left or right. So she had to stay right there to gather her thoughts together, to gather her thoughts. She finally reached at her sister's home safely and of course back. The takeaway lesson for me was my mom's determination. What one can conceive, one can achieve. So let's all join in as we wish my mom health and strength. And we sing, we have a birthday today. We have a birthday today. Happy birthday to you, jump up and wave. Happy birthday to you, jump up and wave. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, jump up and wave. Back to you, Toastmaster Billy.
Thank you, Toastmaster Antoinette. Thank you. Yes, mothers are powerful people in our lives, and they do bring back good memories. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And happy birthday to your mom. We now move on to our next speaker. She's the current VP Public Relations of the club. She's also fun to listen to and always giving away something in her delivery. A takeaway. Toastmaster Elaine, can you please unmute yourself and can you see our timer?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So our third speaker, Elaine Nieberding, is going to be delivering her speech from the path Visionary Communication. It's a level 3 project, developing a communication plan. Now, what does it take to create a dynamic and helpful public relations messaging speech or approach for online presenters for this mandate, for this year? Elaine just completed her term as Vice President Membership of Online Presenters, and with reflections on this experience, having her knowing a foundation for PR success, will be creating a collaborative team of contributors. It's the foundation for her communication plan, amping up the PR pride and PR presence of online presenters. Looking forward to your speech, Elaine. So please, everyone, welcome Toastmaster Elaine Nieberding for developing a communication plan, the pride and presence of online presenters, the pride and presence of online presenters, Elaine Nieberding.
Well, greetings to you, my fellow Toastmasters of online presenters, honored guests, and you know I always say this, replay viewers. We want to get a lot of mileage out of what we do. So I am so proud to be a member of this club. And it's a very interesting challenge for me to step into this different role right now. As Christian said, I spent some time reviewing my past leadership experience as VP of membership. And that reflection really provided a sound foundation for me to know you can't do things well in a silo. It really takes this human-to-human connection that you work at and that you invite to make things succeed. Now, Stephen Covey, you've probably heard of this gentleman. He has a well-known quote that says, "Start with the end in mind." So if I project myself, say a year from now, when I'm looking back on this time, what I will want to be knowing or experiencing is that the guests who came to visit our club and the members who came and the larger Toastmaster world and public came to experience some really great value and feel the value of engaging and contributing and collaborating with us. Now, also, I hope we still have a robust membership with people continuing to grow and everybody feeling like, indeed, this is a premier club. So I want to ask you now, if you feel, and if you're a member, you feel pride in this club, can you share your presence with us? I would like for you to unmute and emote a word, a sound, and a gesture that says, "I love OP. I'm proud of being here."
Right.
Unmute.
OP.
Yes.
Super cool.
Yay, OP!
Yes.
Yay!
That's to the back.
This is my OP.
Awesome.
Okay, mute, please. Thank you very much. So I'm glad you have this OP pride and you're sharing it here with me. Now, I think ahead about public relations and a communication plan, setting up ideas and strategies for what's going to be involved in both our internal and external communications. What will they need to be doing? They'll need to be informing, inspiring, inviting participation and collaboration. Yes, that human-to-human stuff. And it will emerge in the form of newsletters, email communications, new kind of website content or features, social media posts, and maybe doing something new with our Facebook club page. And perhaps we'll venture into new territory using video creatively in any of those arenas. And maybe even some of our members will be nudged or encouraged to submit writing submissions to Toastmaster Magazine or other well-known publications. If we're doing well and we're proud of what we do, then we should put this out there. So I mentioned reflecting back on my vice president experience. I got help from some of the other executive team last year. And I certainly learned that it was important to develop rhythms of systems that I used and communications that I was doing with guests and prospective members and new members. That was great experience to have. But it never occurred to me last year that I could have a team of people helping me. I was rather content just to do it solo in my silo, work on my own timeline, be as perfectionistic about detail as I cared to be. At the end of the year, I came to learn while I did a good job, it was somewhat exhausting, perhaps more time-consuming, and maybe I could have had a lot more fun with a team. So it occurs to me now, I'm going to be inviting a team. And with that in mind, I'm going to sing you a song. You know that I do this from time to time. Now, those of you that might appreciate this are folks that either know Little Eva from the 60s or Kylie Minogue from the 80s. And the song is Do the Locomotion. It's got some new words. Here we go. It's a new club year, time to make a chance, take a chance now. Come on, OP, join my locomotion. We're a premier club, but how can we advance now? Could you maybe help our club promotion? Launch a fun newsletter, that's one thing to do. Create social posts for special events too. PR, PR, come do some club promotion with me. And member recognition too. Come on, OP. So step up, don't jump back. Human to human, we'll find the knack. Oh, oh, look over your pathway. How will you dance now? Find a project, help OP promotion. Can you bring your genius in? Please take a chance now. Come on, baby, help OP promotion. OP is a place of pride, oh, don't you know? Let's amp up our presence with all our soul. So come on, do OP promotion with me. Do OP promotion with me. Do OP promotion with me. Back to you, fellow Toastmasters. And by the way, there'll be a meeting tonight at 9:15. Information will be in the chat.
Thank you, Toastmaster Elaine. Yes, online presenters, let's do the locomotion. I'm so sorry I can't sing. I would wake up the whole house at this time of the day. But thank you, Elaine. Yes, OP, go OP. Go Elaine. All right, before we move on, I'd like to invite our timer to just confirm if all of our 3 speakers are within time. Madam Timer, are you there?
I have posted it in the chat. Yes, they have all
Awesome. Thank
been
you so
within
much.
time.
Thank you so much, Madam Timer. So, my dear online presenters, I'd like to remind you, our speakers for today are Toastmaster Tricia, Toastmaster Antoinette, and Toastmaster Elaine. Please vote for your best speaker and send your vote to our vote counter, Toastmaster Birgit, through private messaging. Thank you so much. We now move on to the next segment of this session. It's not table topics. Before table topics, wait for it. It's new members induction segment. On this, I'd like to invite our Vice President Membership, Toastmaster Lou Brown, who may still be busy doing the locomotion. Toastmaster Lou, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Definitely one of my favorite songs. Hopefully it's not such a dated song that it's showing my age, but again, one of my favorites. Yes, right now it is the Vice President of Membership segment where we will have a new member induction for 2 of our newest members, as well as a prospective member speech by someone who would like to be one of our members. First, let me make sure I can share my screen. Wonderful. We will have the new member inductions. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, on behalf of Online Presenters Toastmasters, it is my duty and privilege to induct the following new members into our club: Amelia Wood and Lucas Calafell. This is an important occasion both for these individuals and for our club. As experienced speakers and Toastmasters, these individuals will enrich us as we strive to enrich them in a spirit of sharing and enjoyment. Together, we expand our effectiveness as dynamic leaders, presenters, and communicators. New members, please wait until I call on each of you individually to affirm your commitment to the Toastmasters promise. In the presence of fellow online presenters, do you pledge to attend meetings regularly and prepare for each assignment, to actively participate in club activities, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with our fellow members, and to bring other new members into the club so that they can gain the benefits of Toastmasters? Amelia, please unmute and say I do.
I do.
Wonderful. Lucas, please unmute and say I do.
Yes, I do.
Thanks, sir. To the current members of Online Presenters, I remind you of your pledge to support these new members in their quest for self-development, to provide them with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, and to make their Online Presenters Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Congratulations, Amelia and Lucas, our new members. Welcome to Online Presenters. Attendees and guests, feel free to unmute and give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yay, and welcome. Welcome, Amelia. Welcome, Lucas.
Welcome,
Yes, everyone,
everyone.
welcome.
Thank you so much. We will now have a prospective member speech. While not a current Toastmaster, Anderson Van has experience with presentations as a leader in the pharmacy and healthcare space. His experience with individual and team diversity allows him to bring this unique perspective to our club and be an impactful member. Anderson's skills include casual conversations and large audience presentations. He seeks to improve in areas such as delivering long speeches, storytelling, audience engagement, and creating smooth transitions. Today, we will learn more about Anderson with his prospective member speech. Timer, the prospective member speech is 3 to 5 minutes with the usual timing, coloring the cards accordingly. Please welcome Anderson Van.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President of Membership. Action without knowledge is foolishness. This is a quote by, I actually don't know who, so I guess that makes me a fool. And knowledge without action is wastefulness. And during my college education, I was definitely wasted. But before my college years, if I wasn't at school, I was at a bookstore. And trust me, I was not a nerd by choice. In fact, I tried to be the complete opposite. My parents owned this bookstore, and I practically lived in it growing up. I was surrounded by a wealth of knowledge, and not to mention self-motivated book readers. You would assume that somebody with this type of background is tailored for success easily, right? Actually, I think that I was surrounded by it a little too much, that when I had a chance and when I left to UC Riverside on my own, I unleashed. I did everything that an ideal college student should do, you know, have the experience living in the dorm, joining a fraternity, and actually that's about it. But I'll tell you what I did not do. I did not pass my classes, or did I go to many of them. This kicked me out of my biology major, not once, not twice, 3 times. All of my dreams of becoming a doctor, or should I say my parents' dreams of me becoming a doctor, were doomed. I didn't know how to tell my parents this, so I didn't. So I ended up picking up any major I can graduate with, and I learned that even in social science majors, I have the option to either pursue a bachelor's in arts or a bachelor's in science. Hey, my poor naive parents probably can't tell the difference between a BS in bio versus a BS in anthropology, right? So there it was, on my graduation, 5, 6 years later, I forget, A day that's supposed to be one of the happiest days of a student's life. Although I emoted that I was very happy and feeling accomplished, it was actually the saddest day of my life. Because not only did my classmates all graduate 2 years ago, but the bigger the smiles that came from my parents' faces reflected, the bigger my feelings of depression also grew. Because I was just thinking about, what now? I can't get away with this lie any longer once my parents find out I can't get into any medical schools. Then I was back living in the bookstore, but this time my feelings of sadness and hopelessness allowed me to see the light of this environment that my parents built for me. After 22 or 23 years of living in this bookstore, I finally read and finished a book titled The Magic of Thinking Big. And never before have I felt this feeling of hope, optimism, and motivation. Within the first month of graduation, I took an entry-level job in a local pharmacy that anybody without a degree could have taken. This was a pivotal moment of my life, working full-time, 40 hours a week, going straight to night classes every single weekday, and my weekends were also at least 20 hours of courses as well. And guess what? I was accepted to pharmacy school less than a year after that shameful graduation. This is where I began becoming more and more interested in communications. Completing the required coursework was the easy part of getting into pharmacy school. The hard part was how to explain my non-science degree and how I can persuade the deans that I was a candidate for their pharmacy school. With that said, I want to give credit to my supervisor, who's also my mentor, who introduced me and prepared me to utilize the power of communication. Charm, charisma, empathy, emotion, gratitude, strength. These are all powerful qualities of communications that I use to get me where I am today. Apart from the story displaying my experience of being resilient, I want to reiterate that my obsession with growth in all aspects of my life, and I truly do believe that knowledge without action is wastefulness, and action without knowledge is foolishness. To succeed in anything, we must put in and we must put out. And the action tests our knowledge. Knowledge comes in all sorts of forms and practices, and communication is one of them. The action of communication is obviously done by speaking, but also many other nonverbal ways. I believe that communication is the most powerful tool anybody can have. And with our theme today, humans working with humans, I think it would be appropriate for me to request the permission from all members and guests of online presenters to allow me to join you in the opportunity to become more knowledgeable in the art and the science of communications, and also allow me to practice the actions of communications with you all. Back to you, Mr. Vice President of Membership.
Thank you very much, Anderson. Really appreciated that speech and I enjoyed it. I hope everyone will emote the same way I am doing right now. I'm not even sure if I use that word in the right way. I got to look up the definition. Very good. I will turn things back over to our Toastmaster, Toastmaster Christian.
Thank you, Mr. VP Membership. And I have to say we have one interesting and powerful new member waiting to join the club. Congratulations, Toastmaster Anderson, and looking forward to having you with us. We now move on to the entertaining part of the session. Is it? Oh, well, all segments are entertaining, but this one is particularly entertaining for the people who are going to be called upon to answer weird questions. Are they going to be weird? Let's find out, because we have a table topics master who's going to take us along the journey of table topics. What's table topics? What's he is he going to be doing? Well, please welcome back on the floor our VP membership, Lou Brown, who has stepped in as Table Topics Master. Toastmaster Lou, back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. We have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to cut to the chase and just start asking these questions. Timer, please remember, table topics are 1 to 2 minutes, green at 1, yellow 1.5, red at 2. Folks, you have 30-second deviation to get in your answer to these questions. Remember the theme, humans depending on humans, humans working with humans, and the word of the day, emote. Our first topic, please share with us a volunteer experience that is memorable to you. Toastmaster Angela Heath.
A volunteer experience that's memorable is a recent one. I recently helped an organization to digitize their business. And I was truly amazed because the director was like emoting that she didn't know what to do once COVID virus hit. And I said, you know, really, it's not that difficult. I can help you. I can teach you. Her response was, but I don't understand this digital world. I don't understand apps and all of those things. And I felt so good inside that I was able to help her to realize that these times are really wonderful. Look at all of your smiling faces. Well, you're not smiling at me now, but you were earlier. But look at all of your faces. We would have never come together and known each other if it had not been for these times. So I was pleased to be able to help them to bring their operation online. And she was pleased that she was able to attract people from all over the country, which she's never done before. So that volunteer program not only helped a group that I truly believed in, but it also gave me more satisfaction. And it made me feel really good that the skills I have could really be useful. Mr. Tabletopist Master, thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Heath. Wonderful response. Our next topic, please share with us a memorable work experience with a colleague or team member, Toastmaster Marty Sandler.
Well, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. I've had a number of interesting experiences in my life. 80 years, after all, is long enough to have a few experiences. Where do I start? Well, I started, as you might guess, in my first real job, that is to say, one I got paid for. And I found that I could not only do my job, but I could volunteer my work to help people understand what was going on and why I was talking so much. Indeed, I learned to emote, and that's not something that comes natural to me. But my first job was a good opportunity because it was back in the days of the Cold War, and I was in the process of first trying to be sure that I stayed out of the Army, legitimately, that is, not by running off to Canada, which is what some of my friends did. But second, that in doing so, I contributed something. Since I chose to avoid serving in the armed forces, what could I do that would compensate, at least to the extent of my conscience being easy? And what I did was take a job that gave me a chance to work in underwater explosive submarine detection. That's right. I learned that we were, as a company, have I talked that long already? Wow, sorry. The end. Back to you, folks.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sandler. I was so engaged myself that I didn't even know you were already in the red. Thank you again. Please share with us an experience where you were a kind soul and helped somebody out, Toastmaster Tayana Mello.
Hello, I'm sorry, could you please repeat the question? Sorry about that.
No problem. Please share with us an experience where you, as a kind soul, helped somebody out.
Oh my God, okay. As a kind soul help somebody out. That's a great topic. Thanks for asking me. Well, I would go back to 2 years ago. I was finishing my MBA and in a new country, Canada, moved from Brazil. And I was thinking about what am I going to do with my life? Am I going back to the same job again, working with sales, selling IT, in this crazy life, or I'm going to do something else out of my life? And I would say that time I took a retreat. I stayed in silence for a long time, for some weeks. I gave myself some break time. And when I came back a completely different person in terms of what I wanted out of my life. And I just decided to help people. And that became my mission. I opened my business on coaching people on expanding consciousness. I started doing online programs and helping people to understand their minds and just share a little bit of how can we become better person by just first take care of ourselves, right? We cannot take care of others without taking care of ourselves first. Being nice, and that just became part of my whole existence a few time ago. And I'm so lucky to have now previous clients that became friends, that became a community of good people around that support each other. They are looking for helping humanity, helping the world in a bigger dimension. And I'm very happy about my mission. And thank you very much. Good to share with you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mello. Appreciate it very much. Mr. Toastmaster, do we have time for any more?
I don't think so. I think we have to move on to the evaluation segment.
Very good. Awesome. Please, Madam Timer, please, did everyone qualify for topics?
My apologies. Yes, sir. I will now post the details in the chat group.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And please vote for your favorite topic speaker. Send your votes to our vote counter. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lou Brown. Thank you for stepping in at the last minute, and thank you for the entertaining yet thoughtful questions. I didn't want the table topics segment to end either. Having said that, we need to move on. We need to trudge on. We need to take the locomotion. Now, the next segment is all about evaluations. For me, it's going to be the breakfast of champions. For you, maybe the supper or the dinner of champions. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. Now, those words by William James is going to be put into practice by our fellow evaluators coming up. And for me, it symbolizes the time to relax, put my boots up or my slippers up, and hand over to our general evaluator of the session, Toastmaster Marian Grady. Over to you, madam.
Why, good evening, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Tonight, my job is to lead the club in giving the gift of feedback to our speakers this evening. I will be introducing our speakers and reporters and also giving a full report on the entire meeting. So I've been paying attention. Tonight, we have a super strong group of evaluators, all DTMs, and they will be providing human-to-human special reports on each individual speaker. So pay attention. I'm sure you'll learn a lot. And our first evaluator is Graham Cairns, who will be evaluating Tricia Smith tonight. Please welcome Graham.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and of course, particularly Tricia. Because we're running a bit behind time, I've put most of my things into the written evaluation, but just briefly for Tricia, I thought there was a really good use of notes from Tricia tonight. She was obviously reading a couple of times, but that doesn't matter in an educational and informative presentation like this, and she still managed to maintain eye contact all the way throughout. Well done to that. I like the fact that Trish gave us the definitions up front and told us what she was going to say. And it's an old trope, but it still works. Tell the audience what you're going to say, tell them what you've told them. That actually is one area that I think Trish might like to work on, however. She didn't summarize at the end of her presentation. She just sort of said, well, so I'm now finished. I would like a stronger close to give us, for example, the definitions where she said, I didn't know the terms for what I was doing. If she had given us those terms, if she had given us those definitions, it would have become a teaching moment. One other thing that I would suggest is that the camera was, I call it Blair witching. That is, the camera was bouncing up and down and moving side to side. Try to have your camera mounted somewhere where when you move the desk, the camera doesn't move. It wasn't obvious in gallery view, but since I had you in speaker view, it became fairly obvious. The highlight for me, though, we learned about Tricia's role, we learned about the way she performs, and we got to see her enthusiasm, which was infectious. I really enjoyed this presentation, and I thank you for giving it to us today, Tricia.
Thank you, Graham. Our next evaluator will be Richard Derlin, and he will be evaluating Antoinette Trim's speech, The Matriarch in Our Family. Please welcome Richard.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator and fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests, and especially Antoinette Trim. I very much enjoyed your speech tonight for a great number of reasons. And I want to cover a few of them because I think it's important when somebody brings the energy that you brought together with a lot of very strong words, and the combination generated a lot of emotions and mind thoughts, etc., in me particularly. And that really is all about today's word of the day, emote. So you definitely brought emote into your speech today. You did that extremely well. There are a number of things that I just really would like to compliment you on. One, the gestures I could see were absolutely outstanding. When you looked left and right, that's what you were talking about in your speech. You nodded your head at the appropriate time. And a few times I was able to see your hands. Now that's where I want to start with some suggestions for you, is position your camera so that we can see your arms and your hands. Because I really do believe that you already connect your gestures to your speech extremely well. So I would very much encourage you to bring the two together and make it possible for us to see those gestures so that they're incorporated into your speech. Quite frankly, if you watch some of the TED Talks things, you'll find that some of those people that are the best speakers in 15 minutes will use upwards of 500 to 600 gestures, believe it or not. So gestures are extremely powerful, and I think you've already got a great base based on what I could see of your gestures. So give some thought to that. I think it'll do you well. Second thing I want to offer to you is definitely bring a little bit, and this is not necessarily for this speech, but bring a little bit of pacing into your speeches. Vary it a little bit. Just try it out. See how it goes. And see what kind of feedback you get from those kinds of activities. Because I think if you add some varying to that pacing, it will actually give the audience some time to catch up in some cases. And then when you want to really make a point, you speed up. Things of that nature can be really powerful when you give speeches. Again, overall, voice, excellent. Eye contact, very good. Use of words, very good. What gestures I could see, very good. So across the board, a very good speech today with a couple of ideas for you to mess around with. I am looking forward to seeing your next speech. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Richard. Wonderful evaluation. Next up, we have Lois Margolin evaluating Elaine Nieberding, our current VPPR, her speech about her PR plan. And wasn't she fantastic? Please welcome Lois.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, my fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and Elaine. Oh my gosh, raise your hand if you totally enjoyed and were bopping around when Elaine was singing. That's how you get us to emote emotions. That's how you get us to just feel the power of a speech. And Elaine, you did that. That was such an incredibly powerful speech. And I know I personally enjoyed it immensely. First thing Elaine does, which I always love, is she smiles. She's just got this smile that lights up. And then she always says that little thing. And also for the replay viewers, which of course we all kind of chuckle at because it's just cute. It's the way she brings it on. And I so appreciate all that you bring to the table and you offer. Some of the things you do really well, just some of your phrases. You can't do things well in a silo. Okay, yeah, I get that. That was well said. And I, being past president, I totally understood where you were coming from. You did something that was really special when you engaged the audience and asked them to unmute. I was really happy with the fact that you were able to get them all to calm down again, because usually when you do that, you lose that extra few seconds that are so valuable in a speech. Only thing I would have maybe liked to have seen is have us post that in the chat, because I didn't get to hear what anybody really felt. I got to hear it. I didn't get to really understand it because we were all chatting over each other. So sometimes the chat has a really good place in a speech, and that would have been one of those spots, because we could have seen what other people felt and actually read it and imagined it. I thought that you also did a good job telling us what you were going to do with the social media. And of course, ending it with, what was it? Do the OP promotion with me. I mean, we were all just rocking around, having a grand time with that. Lastly, I want to mention, if you use Stephen Covey and you live by him, and his comments are, start with the end in mind. The only thing I would have liked to have heard is, what is your final goal that you would like to see with your public relations? What do you want? Do you want to see our name in lights somewhere? Is there something special you want to see? That was the only little thing that I would have liked to have seen, and I challenge you on that. But otherwise, I'm one of those rocking around, and I had a fabulous time. Thank you for your speech. It was fabulous. Madam General Evaluator.
Well, thank you, Lois. And that was just a pleasure to hear your evaluation as well as the speech. I'd like you all to vote for your favorite evaluator. We had Graham up first, and next up we had Richard, and finally we had Lois. Send your votes individually to the vote counter Birgit this evening. Next up, I'd like to call our timer.
Madam General Evaluator, we are running with 8 minutes to go. We have done quite well with time. I've posted the time for all the speakers, and I noticed only one infraction so far, major in terms of time, and I encourage us to use time wisely so that we can continue to enjoy human-to-human interaction. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Donna. I'll counter. Deborah Carr, your report, please.
Here we go. Well, we didn't have any seamstresses or tailors in here today with sewing, but we did have a few ahs and very few ers. Anyway, the filler words were minor and really not enough to mention. I did message somebody and just let them know how they can enhance their speech next time. And that's it. It was great.
Thank you so much. On to the grammarian, Nikenji Warren Schwam. Your report, please.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm happy to report the unstated goal was met tonight. I had set a goal for 10, and we got to 10. 10 great uses by Elaine, Anderson, Lou, Angela, Marty, Graham, Rick, and Lois. Well done. Rick had 2 uses of the word of the day. We had great use of idioms tonight. Sit up like a straight jacket. Put my boots up. My neck of the woods. Great idiomatic language. We also had alliteration when I liked solo and silo, inspiration, information, inviting. Great uses of language tonight, charm and charisma. Oh, well spoken. And I loved Lois's last comment where she summed up the meeting tonight immensely, meaning it was a big success. That is my report. Over to you, Madam GE.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Latosha, our watcher.
We look great on screen tonight. Everyone looked amazing. The backgrounds look great. And we only had a couple infractions of people walking away from their screen. Birgit, we understand what your situation was, but we had a couple people walk away without muting the screen or the video. So just be mindful of that in the future, but otherwise we look great.
Well, thank you kindly. And finally, our chat monitor, Dr. Michael Alexander.
Thank you very much. I was favorably impressed with our use of the chat today, although we had a few quick verbal pokes at each other, including the joke about butts or as a problem for the R counter. Generally speaking, we did not carry on distracting side conversations. We used the chat to either express things which frankly we didn't need to hear verbally, like the timers report or a reminder of what the word of the day was, or to congratulate and basically to applaud as we went along. In short, we were a good audience at the time. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, sir. And now for my report. Tonight's meeting was a wonderful one. Guests were warmly welcomed. One suggestion for all people who take roles, make sure you put your full name in there so I can use your name for the introduction. One of the timer in particular just put her first name. For Tricia and Birgit, you both made some reference to something that was going on that was not happening like on screen that we could have not known about. So Birgit, like the show must go on. Don't start talking about the vase. Keep the meeting moving forward. If it's not taking away and you look just fine on screen, we don't need to know about it. Same thing, Tricia, you said you made a mistake. You could either skip over it, just mention it a little later when it comes up, but don't call attention to mistakes that aren't obvious to everybody, is basically what I'm saying. So finally, emotive speakers, inductions, new member speakers, creative table topics, DTM level evaluations, everything ran smoothly, and we had a fabulous meeting. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Thank you for everyone in the evaluation segment to be within time. It's human to make mistakes, and some of us are more human than others. That includes me. Thank you for bearing with me in this session. Thank you for everyone who took up roles. Thank you, our dear speakers, and thank you, our evaluators. On this note, I'm going to hand over to our president for the business session and to wrap up the meeting. He will also be announcing the winners of this session. Over to you, President Nick Lacani.
Thank you very much, Christian. Thank you very much, Marianne, and all the role players, all the speakers, and all the participants. We have the results. Now, for the best evaluation, please give a big hand for Lois. And the best table topic speech, Angela. And for the best speech, big drum roll, Elaine. Well done, all of you, and well done everybody who participated as well. I just have a couple of notices. We have a business meeting on Monday, the 31st of August. We've been publicizing that a lot. We want you to make sure you're there, and we will be voting on our budget for this Toastmaster year. We also have a vacancy for Sergeant at Arms. Anybody's interested, please get in touch with me. I am taking anybody's interest, and actually will be happy to talk to you about it. Unfortunately, we lost Asil a couple of weeks back. She's still a member of the club. She just had to step down. And I would like you to be the next Sergeant at Arms. So get in touch with me. Also, at the just before the day before the business meeting on August the 30th, 9 a.m. Eastern a.m. in the morning, speechathon. That means we've got all of those who think, oh, I've got a speech, I don't have time to fit it in, I don't know where to fit it in. That's the time. Sunday, August 30th, 9 a.m. Come and give your speech. We're going to have a hell of a time. It's going to be on the agenda. Sign up, sign up. Also, in terms of speech contests, we have on Monday, the 14th of September, a table topics contest. And the following week, on the 21st of September, an evaluation contest to help you get ready for your bricks and mortar contest. In addition to that, the winners of those two contests go on to an intergalactic mega conference on October the 11th, which is going to be a Sunday, against at least 3 other clubs, possibly 5 other clubs. So just get warmed up, lots of things going on, and you have opportunities to speak at every turn. Unless there's any more announcements, I declare the meeting closed. And good night, and please switch off the recording.